My name is Tiffany Wilson and I'm the Artistic Director for Shelby County Players. Welcome to the lobby of our current rehearsal space, SCP Offstage. Before we take you around, let me give you a brief history. Shelby County Players has been operating as an all-volunteer nonprofit organization in Shelby County since 1988 and occupied the Tompkins Street Theater until 2010. After leaving Tompkins Street, we rehearsed at many different spaces around town, including a hair salon, the former Napa Auto Parts building, and a few church locations. In 2011, we rehearsed our very first production in this space, a former bowling alley. In 2012, SCP started leasing this building and moved most of our theater belongings from 7 separate storage facilities around town into Offstage. 95% of our time and activities happen right here. The only things that we haven't yet done in this facility are store costumes and run full-length productions. We have rented performance space at the Strand Theater and other venues since 2010. In 2019, we purchased this facility, now known to us as SCP Offstage, and began plans to modify it so that we can not only perform here, but expand our educational programming. Having occupied Offstage for over 8 years now, we know its limitations and lack of curb appeal. I would now like to introduce Cindy Leahy, our Managing Director for Shelby County Players.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, Cindy.
Thank you so much for joining me on this tour today.
My pleasure.
And thank you for joining us on this tour. I'm sorry that you cannot be here in person, but I'm glad that we have the capabilities and the talent to create this video for you today. One of the first things I want to do before I give you a tour is show you what the outside of the facility will look like upon completion of this project. You'll notice the first thing you see is a large addition to our facility. This addition is going to house the fly system that will be over our full-size stage. On the outside, you'll notice that we have this interesting piece of artwork. This particular space is going to be utilized as a community art space so that artists in our community can display their large murals, perhaps project pictures or photos they've taken. It's an area that we want to have an art installation that is changeable. This is what we call the office, and this is where we hold our board meetings, our artistic team meetings. We also do our photo shoots here for our marketing materials. We store our archives. We utilize this space as workshop space when we have a variety of different workshops throughout the year. If we come through here, you'll see what was the original concession stand. We use this as a breakout area for our volunteers. We also use it as storage for wigs, makeup. Theater people have stuff, and we need a lot of space for stuff. This brings you to our small props area. And as you see, here's some more of our stuff. Most of this has been donated. Some items that we can't get for a particular show, we will purchase it, but most of what you're seeing has been donated for a particular show or for future shows. If you look down this wall over here, you'll see that we have fabrics. This is where we would store our flat fabrics for making costumes, our soft goods, pillows, blankets, tablecloths, all kinds of things. And as you can see, now you can tell that this was a bowling alley. If you look at the ceiling, you can just imagine throwing your perfect 300 game here, right? So SCP uses a lot of stuff and we utilize our space. So you can see we have lots of wonderful space here, but we cannot build anything too high because of the ceilings. So that's one of the things we're going to solve with our new particular project. So I want to take you back into the next area, which is the pin setting area. And here's another example of how theater people have stuff. This is our large furniture area. We use our vertical space. We find ways to store things because we always have lots of things. Coming down this way a little bit further is our workshop where we have our tools and store our tools for making our sets. Everything we do at Shelby County Players is made here. Over here on this wall we have store our flats. Flats are the pieces of the set that are used to create walls, hallways. So we have doors, windows, and a variety of materials to give the illusion of being in a particular location. One of the other exciting things about this place is we still have the bowling lockers, and we utilize the bowling lockers for arts and crafts materials. I want to talk a little bit about what we've been doing over the last few months during COVID. We had to cancel or postpone shows, but we were able to transition into streaming, and that's a whole nother ball of wax. But we have the talent and we had the support of the community so we could buy additional equipment. Our volunteers were happy to come in and social distance and rehearse shows so that we could videotape it and stream it to the public. In particular, we are very excited to have streamed our young audience production to all the schools in Shelby County so that those second graders didn't miss the opportunity to see their first live performance, even though it was on video. One of these storage spaces is going to be designated for a youth theater action team. That's a group of young people, middle school and high school, that direct, act, and produce their own shows. It's very important for them to have their own space so that they can create and collaborate amongst themselves without imposing on adults. I'd like to take a moment and introduce Greg Cox, our technical director, who's going to talk to you about the technology and the great things we're going to be doing in this new facility.
Thank you, Cindy. I would like to take just a few moments to speak to you about the technological advancements that SCP would have with this new facility and how it will help our volunteers realize their creative visions. Starting off with the fly system, never before has SCP volunteers been able to utilize a fly in their productions. Flies assist with transitioning set pieces and backdrops seamlessly and efficiently during a production so the audience can have a more encompassing production and experience with the show. There are a couple different options that SCP will have when selecting a fly system. One is a traditional carriage system with counterbalances and rope lines that are operated and pulled by volunteers and stagehands. The other option is a hoist system that is operated by motors and controlled by an electronic panel. It is the much safer option for our volunteers and the system that we want to install in this new facility. Speaking of safer options, with the fly system, we would be able to lower in a bar to hang our fixtures on at ground level. This prevents the need for volunteers to need to climb on ladders carrying heavy lights, sometimes 12, 15, or 20 feet in the air, to secure these in the appropriate position for production. Something that isn't often thought of is transitioning your set pieces on and off the stage and where you store them when they're not on stage. A fly system is great for moving your backdrops up and down, as well as hiding some set pieces, but many times you are going to need to move them off stage left or stage right. Off stage left in this new facility will be an elephant door that is the height of the proscenium that will allow for set pieces that are very tall, sometimes 2 stories, 16 feet or more, to be moved off and on stage and still have space backstage for our actors and stage crew to function during the productions. Carrying on with lighting, we want to convert our entire system over to an LED system. This provides our volunteers with new creative choices and working with more efficient and high-end lights than they've ever been able to before. With this new LED technology, we will be able to offer color changing, beam changing, focus changing capabilities to our volunteers. Rather than having to climb up into the air and change the fixture themselves, they will be able to do this all from the ground with a board. Again, providing a safer work environment, but also expanding their creative choices during a production. The light booth, sound booth, and stage manager's booth in this new facility will offer our volunteers a high-end experience like they've never had before. Students wishing to pursue theatrical studies or a career in theater will be able to come to this facility and get hands-on experience with state-of-the-art technology being used in professional theaters across America today. We are confident that this facility can contribute to this community beyond just entertainment. It can be a place that fosters creativity, education, and passion for the arts, and a focal point in this community and Shelby County. Thank you, Cindy, for asking me to be part of this video. Back to you guys.
Thank you for sharing this information, Greg. SCP is so fortunate to have dedicated, talented volunteers like Greg.
Our newly renovated facility will greatly increase our visibility, grow our volunteer base, and expand upon our already well-established educational and outreach programs. With this endowment, we will then begin to introduce paid facility staff.
We thoroughly enjoyed giving you this tour today, and we hope you have a better understanding of how we operate in this facility and how the renovations are going to open up new creative opportunities for Shelby County.
We look forward to seeing you in person very soon.
Thank you for joining us. and stay safe.
SCP unlocks opportunities for people to explore and showcase their creativity through theater arts. Shelby County players, play your part.